the federal government has become infested with some very bad people. Sometimes we call it the swamp, and I think it's a good name for it. These swamp creatures are not the kind of people we want representing us in our government. They're the predator class, many of them. And so they're corrupt, and they're dictatorial, they're tyrants, they're liars, they're cheaters, they're killers, they're murderers, and yet they're our leaders. And so what do we do with that? Well, these people know that the best way for us, best way for them, I should say, to silence our opposition to exposing their crimes is to play the patriot card. And so we have always this phrase, national security. Well, we can't answer that question because it would endanger national security. And if you don't think that's important, then you are not a patriot. You're not patriotic. And we even have the Patriot laws, the Patriot Act passed, which lists time after time all the things that you cannot do, limitations on your freedom in order to be patriotic. And so we come to Julian Assange and others, and they're trying to blow the whistle on criminality inside our system. And we should be thankful for that, because it's our system. We don't want corruption in our system. If you love your country, you have got to blow the whistle on corruption at the highest levels. That's the measure of your patriotism. If you want to really show your love for your country, is don't let it be corrupted. And you can't do that unless you blow the whistle. And so that's where I stand on that one.
But instead, people like Julian Assange are thrown in a cage to rot. And it's very unfortunate that so many view his actions as dangerous and irresponsible and treasonous and
unpatriotic.
Yeah, unpatriotic. And with that in mind, Ed, I wanted to get into this a little bit, because under the guise of patriotism, we have seen so many people fooled into becoming pawns to be sacrificed for the king and the queen, which has happened throughout the ages. And this kind of goes into my next point, which is let's talk about the attempt to go to war with Iran, or basically everyone in the world. But right now, the subject matter is Iran. Both of us know this is nothing new. We can go back to the coup of 1953 and the constant acts of aggression and meddling by the United States in Iran's affairs. The U.S. even armed the Iraqi Ba'athist Party against Iran, which they later used as an excuse to go to war with Iraq. What do you think the intentions are for someone like Trump to push the United States, like every past president, closer to war with Iran? Because you cannot turn on a mainstream news channel right now without seeing something fear-mongering, whether it's Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or CNBC or any mainstream media in other countries, BBC, CBC in Canada. You cannot turn on the mainstream news without seeing some form of fear-mongering about Iran, which has hardly attacked a single other country in their entire existence.
Yes. You've got some good questions there. I think your trip to Africa sort of sharpened your mind there, Josh.
It needs sharpening.
No, I don't think so. But there are two. I see quick analysis. There are two elements to your question. One is the Trump issue, which I think I'll just sidestep for the moment, because I think well, I can just comment to say that I think Trump's position is terribly wrong on this issue. So I'll just leave it at that as to why. We might come back to it later. But the deeper issue again is why is the United States so aggressive with these wars everywhere in the world, but especially in the Middle East? Why? Is it really to defend our liberties? Is it really to protect the American people? Maybe at some high level they could rationalize it. But did you really feel that in your gut, that Iran is a threat to the United States? And if we keep poking it with a stick, maybe it will, just like a dog. You keep poking a dog with a stick, it might attack you. But other than that, we've never had any problems with most countries until we start poking them with a stick, dropping bombs on their cities and killing their civilians. Then we have a problem. So why are we doing this? And I think that, there are a couple of reasons. One, in the Middle East, of course, we have this thing called oil. And he who dominates the access to the oil dominates the world. We still are running on oil, and we probably will for quite a while. So there's the economic interest that doesn't usually show up in the news stories. We must have governments in the Middle East that control these oils be friendly to us. Otherwise, it may hurt the profit pictures of the large U.S.-based oil companies, or it could even be argued that it would weaken our national security. We're back to that argument again, but I don't think that's a legitimate argument because we've never had that threat for national security from those countries. And as long as we mind our business and keep our powder dry and keep our own military clean and powerful and strong for self-defense, not aggression, but self-defense, I don't think we have to worry about Iran or Iraq or any country in the world. In fact, well, that's another story in itself.
Well, we can't forget, before you go further, Ed, we can't forget that a private militia overthrew the greatest world order in history, the British world order, which founded the United States in the first place, which too many people tend to forget about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, there is that issue, which is the the economic issue, oil, and I think everybody understands that. But then there's the other issue, which is the people at the highest levels of all governments of the world today, especially the first world countries. And in the lead of that is the United States. These leaders all are globalists. And I say all, at any high significant level. I don't care that they may speak against it, they may talk against it, but you watch what they do. Words are stronger than, actions are stronger than words, I should say. Mm-hmm. And if you just forget what they say and look what they do, and you can tell that they are globalists because everything they do is to build that so-called New World Order. That's their name for it, not ours. And I think the expansion of the military in the United States is part of that. And then there's another profit motive, which is, think about the military-industrial complex. How much money is being made in war? The building and use and destruction of armaments and that kind of thing. There are a lot of hidden agendas involved here that cause powerful groups to want war. It's profitable to them, either politically or financially. And so that's my short answer as to why we're doing it. It's not to protect the American people, but it's to further agendas of some very powerful groups inside the United States.
And just the idea that people seem to forget of dropping bombs on these cities and the vast, vast, vast majority of the people dying being innocent people. And in these countries, a huge amount of the population is under the age of 16. So we're watching children get killed, and the children that survive and watch their parents get killed grow up and, well, can you guess what happens next? I mean, they end up wanting revenge. And I don't justify anything that they might do when they're older, but would you not want revenge if your parents were blown up from some foreign government? It goes without saying that you certainly would. And because of this craziness and the lacks of truth in the media regarding this issue, I'm planning to go to Iran and Iraq to report on this firsthand and hopefully not become collateral damage. Mr. Griffin was saying before the interview that he wanted a life insurance policy on me. But anyway, I wanted to talk about, continue on with this, because nearly every presidential candidate, and this says a lot, nearly every presidential candidate for decades that has won claimed to be non-interventionist. Even Bush claimed to be non-interventionist, and we know how that turned out. What does it say when these people fool the populace into voting for them under the guise of coming in peace? It seems like it's pretty popular to be non-interventionist for some reason.
Well, it's very popular because people are sick of war. They fear war legitimately. They don't want war. They know they can't afford it either. So naturally, when a candidate for national position talks about war, he says, I'm against war. We got to put a stop to these wars. Everybody's, there's the man we're waiting for. And then they vote him and vote him into office. And well, what do you know? Nothing changes. It just continues as before. As I said earlier, words are one thing, actions another. You know who said that? Vladimir Ilyich Lenin said, words are one thing, actions another. That's one of the few things, by the way, I agree with Lenin on.
I would hope so. Yeah. Unfortunately, those weren't one of his last words. He lasted for a few years and inspired countless people towards collectivism. And those were the actions. People are more easily able or more easily convinced to support the idea of free things. They don't know what free means, obviously, but people are more likely to be convinced that they must support quote unquote free things, the greater good of the greater number, that collectivist mantra, in order to succeed. And it just perpetuates the exact same problems. It's a Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat for eternity. You just end up going in circles. While the government and these entities create these problems, maybe the government and these entities can solve these problems. Oh wait, that created a new problem, and on and on and on for eternity. It's been going on since ancient Greece and long before that, folks, and the collective pack mentality has never served us well. But these are more issues, again, that we will be speaking about in depth among many incredible speakers at the Red Pill Expo 2019 in Hartford, Connecticut, close to Boston, close to New York. On the East Coast gets a Red Pill Expo for once, and I'm looking forward to getting over there, talking with so many amazing people, and there's so many incredible speakers on so many different topics, because the idea is to hit you where you didn't realize there were red pills you had not yet swallowed. Every single one of us takes blue pills. We have red pills in this way or that way, but we've forgotten, to take our red pill in this subject matter or that subject matter. We thought we knew all that we needed to know. And of course, that is never the case. We all could stand to learn a lot more.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube, as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.